Which hedge plants will stand up to shade and look good? Hey plant fans, I've decided to do a series on hedges, just a quick one for specific situations. This time round we're looking at hedge choices for shaded sites. There are loads more options than the ones that I am giving you, but I have picked these few options because I actually particularly like them. It's generally look and feel that I like them for. But obviously you do have to make sure that they work horticulturally, that they're going to work on your specific site. So do consider the drainage. It's not just about the sun and the shade. If you're completely clueless, have a quick look at what your neighbours are growing successfully, particularly on the same side of the street as you, because they're going to have the same aspect, probably going to be subject to the same soil conditions and light conditions as you. But they might have boring hedges. Maybe you want something more exciting. Maybe you want something a little bit off the beaten track, or just to explore a few more options. And that is what I'm here for. So a quick overview, I will be talking about these 6 plants: Viburnum tinus, Berberis, Cotoneaster, holly, Lonicera, nitida, and Taxus Baccata. If you have any specific questions, put them in the comments box below and I will come back to you and answer them. So Viburnum tinus, in my opinion, this one has it all. It's evergreen. It has large, dark, glossy leaves, which are beautiful. It's really long flowering. It generally flowers from, in the UK at least, from November to April. The flowers, when they come out, start off pink, they go to white. Your shady site's probably going to be quite dark. This is going to lighten it up. After the flowers come berries. They are particularly attractive to robins and finches. It's famously robust. It can withstand urban pollution. It can withstand wind. It can withstand shade. Only thing you would need to make sure is that you're not planting it in a waterlogged site, because it does like good drainage. But I personally think this one's really a winner. It's one of my personal favourites. Berberis then, I'm actually a particular fan, I've got to say, and the reason why is because they often have a really columnic habit. You know, they grow very vertically and that can look pretty cool. They're fast growing as well. They're growing up to about 60 centimetres per year. They can get up to a maximum height of around about 2, possibly 2.5 meters, but that's probably all that you really want for a hedge, usually. Temperature hardy too, down to minus 20 degrees Celsius. Couple of reasons why you might not want to get them if you are sensitive to thorns. I mean, we are all obviously sensitive to thorns in that we all get prickled, but if you hate thorns, you wouldn't want to get this because, you know, it's a prickly plant. If you're in the US, not so good, because apparently it escapes and gets out into the woodlands. Although in the UK, this is not particularly a problem. Also, if you're looking for an evergreen plant, this is not for you. It is deciduous. It will lose its leaves in winter. In general, I think this is a really cool dynamic. It's very bright, it's very visual, it's very colourful. I'm a big fan of this one. Cotoneaster, very viable option for shaded side. I've actually got this in my own front garden. I didn't plant it, it was already here when I moved in, but I got to say I quite like it. Now, there are some Cotoneasters that grow with a very angular habit that I find a little bit awkward, in the same way that a pyracantha grows in a slightly weird angular way, but not all of them do. I suppose the first thing to say about Cotoneaster is there's quite a range of them in terms of cultivars and how they behave. You can get evergreen ones and you can get deciduous ones. Mine is deciduous, but to be honest, I mean, to me it totally makes sense to get an evergreen one for a hedge. I think these plants are known for 2 things. One of them is in the summer, although the flowers are really tiny and you don't really notice them, but the bees really notice them. They're a bit of a magnet for bees. And the other one is the berries. I saw a couple of wood pigeons on mine this morning having a little peck and a little bit of a feed. So wood pigeons are a cut above your average urban skanky street pigeon, and they mate for life. So, you know, I think it's quite pleasant to see a couple of wood pigeons pecking away at my hedge. Could do worse than a Cotoneaster, in my opinion. So holly then, Ilex. They come in different shades. So you've got the classic green, which I think everybody is familiar with. Very nice. You can get also a golden holly. The golden hollies are basically variegated hollies. The centre of the leaf is dark, but the perimeter is usually yellow colour. Now, I used to think that variegated plants were quite brash, but I have changed my opinion about them. Well, sometimes they are still brash, but in a shady place, sometimes you want the extra like lift and light that they bring. So these days I don't mind a bit of variegation. I think my particular favourite of the different holly types is the blue holly. Quite a big fan of blue leaves in general. Something to know about holly plants is that they are dioecious, which means that you need a male and a female plant to make sure that the female plants will produce the berries. You don't usually need to worry about this in urban areas because there's normally plenty of hollies growing around about the place. You don't need a male plant to be immediately adjacent to a female plant in order for the female plant to produce the red berries. But if, for example, if you lived in the countryside where you were miles away from other people and you wanted to exercise a little bit more control, then you could also make sure that you buy a male plant as well. If you're not sure which is which, you can obviously you can ask the nursery staff, but you can also often tell by the name of the cultivar. If you were getting a blue holly, for example, there is a blue Mesave cultivar and blue Mesave Prince, blue Mesave Princess. So it's kind of obvious which one is the male and which one is the female. Yeah, holly, decent shade hedge. So Lonicera nitida, it's nice looking and it's easy to grow. I see this around quite a bit and I find the leaf arrangement strangely pleasing. So I have included this one. It's a honeysuckle, but it's not your typical honeysuckle. Like, it doesn't ramble. And this one is actually dense and easy to topiarize. Not that you particularly have to topiarize, but what I mean is it's going to give you a nice looking hedge. The ones that I particularly like are at the yellowy end of the spectrum of green. You've got green and then you've got the warm end, which is yellow, and then you've got green and then you've got the cool end, which is blue. I like the ones on the yellowy end of the spectrum. So golden glow, so Lonicera nitida golden glow and Lonicera nitida Bagason's gold. But one thing to note about these two particular cultivars is that they don't grow quite as tall as the regular one. So the regular one you could expect to grow to about 2 meters tall, whereas these ones just grow to like 1 meter or 1.5 meter tall. They look really neat and actually, yeah, there's something nice about them, I think. It would be remiss of me not to include you as a shade tolerant Hedge Taxus Baccata. This is surely one of the finest hedge choices for a shady site. I love them personally. Something really beautiful about them, the rich deep green shade, and they make a fantastic foil for flowers if you have them in the background. They are evergreen. They are famously poisonous, but it's actually only the seed that's poisonous, but I suppose it should put it in as a note of caution. They have a fairly formal look and feel to them, but that said, you don't have to have a formal garden for them. I just think it's a really beautiful hedge. One word of caution: they cannot take poor drainage. The famous hedges at Hummelo, Pete Adolph's home with his famous garden, beautifully shaped wave hedges, quite iconic, actually flooded and they don't exist anymore. So let that be a lesson to all of us in planting yew in soil that can be waterlogged. Just doesn't work. Other than that, top choice. So hopefully that helps you to pick a plant that is gonna be aesthetically pleasing for you and also suit the spot that you need for this shady situation. If you want to level up your planting, then watch this video next. It will show you how to bring the zing and keep your foliage interesting.